I'm David Anderson from Bridge Analyzers. Today we're going to take a look at our tri-gas analyzer, which is used for case-ready meat in the meat packaging industry. It measures three gases: carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and oxygen. Now let's take a closer look. Okay, so when you first receive the analyzer, it'll look similar to this. It'll also have a calibration cert, which certifies that we've tested it to various gases and calibrated the analyzer. So when you first receive it, you'll see some things in this pocket. Spare filter, a power adapter. You want to make sure you use the power adapter that comes with the analyzer, and we've put a label on here to make sure that customers know which one is the correct power supply. And then there's a sample line, comes with a filter and also a needle. That attaches via a lure lock to this inlet fitting here. And that's a hand tight. There's a cover on the needle. This needle is our needle specifically designed for meat packaging, in that we have a thick gauge needle cross-drilled to prevent contamination from entering the needle. And then it has a barb fitting at the end, so if you're doing your own calibration, you can slip tubing on there and you know it's tight and secure. These are assembled via the same lure lock threads. So there's the filter and the needle as well. So you can replace filters as needed. It's a hydrophobic filter, so it will prevent moisture from entering the analyzer. In the manifold there is a hole here, and that can be used nicely for holding the needle. The other thing that's inside here is what we call a CO2 scrubber. The CO2 scrubber is essentially pellets that are used when we zero the analyzer. It will remove excess CO2 from the air so that we can get a good reading on ambient air. That stays in the pocket in the bottom, and it's connected to the analyzer here. When you do recharge the analyzer, you use this port over here. So you would plug in the power adapter and then plug in this cable there. The green LED will light when it's charging. This is the on-off button there. When it first comes on, it displays all 8s, and then it goes to dashes. At this point, it's waiting to be zeroed, and I'll press the 0 button. Hold down the 0 button until it starts to flash between blank and dashes. The pump will start, so you can hear it pumping, and it's actually drawing in air through that CO2 scrubber, through the tubing, and exhausting out this port here. So right now there's no suction going on in the sample line. Zeroing needs to happen when you first turn the analyzer on, and then also after 5 minutes after it's been turned on, and then it should be about 60 minutes, every 60-minute interval thereafter. So when it's finished zeroing for the first time, it will come up and it'll continue to run in a continuous mode. So right now, it's now drawing in gas through the needle and testing the level of CO2 and oxygen. One way to test briefly if it's working is to kind of breathe over the needle. Which I was doing there, and you can see the CO2 goes up and the oxygen goes down, and now as the needle's back in ambient air, it'll return to its normal value. So that way I know it's running, at least providing results. So when you're in a case-ready meat, package test or mother bag test, you don't want to run in continuous mode at all during testing. What you want to do is to turn the pump on only when you're testing the package, not when you're testing the ambient air. Or we don't want to test the ambient air is probably a better term there. So to do that, basically we'll hit the test button, which is the red button. So that test button now, it's basically performing a 15-second test, which is the factory default setting. You can change the test time if you want. While it's blinking, it's performing a test. And then when it's finished, it will freeze the display and shut the pump off. So now, as a user, you can go from one package to another, and you're not drawing in ambient air during that time, during the interval between packages. So at this point, basically, you would take, you'd finish your test, you'd go over, you'd test another package, and when you put the needle in the package, you'd hit the test button. You'd leave the needle in the package while it's being tested until it's complete, and then you will be able to remove it from the package. We have some other videos that talk about what to do in terms of proper or best practices for testing sample site. But there is a septum that people put on one of these black sticky nickels or septum onto the package, and then they poke the needle through there, and that helps to prevent ambient air from entering the package or package gas from escaping out of the package. Now you notice some of our numbers are a little higher than we'd like. That's partly because we just turned the analyzer on and we just zeroed. So typically what you want to do is have the analyzer powered on with the pump off for a period of time, at least a half hour, in order for the analyzer to become thermally stable. So because we just turned it on, everything is coming up to temperature, so our numbers are a little off. After 5 minutes, this display will start to blink. And when it blinks, that indicates that the analyzer is requesting you to zero the analyzer. You can continue to do your normal testing even with that blinking. However, we would recommend that you go ahead and press the zero button in order to zero the analyzer, and then that blinking will go away. So if it were blinking, I just press the zero button. And now we're basically resetting the reference levels for ambient air for the analyzer. So at this point, it's now drawing through here ambient air and resetting its reference levels. One little trick I would recommend is that when you zero, go ahead and take the analyzer, put a septum on your package, and put the needle in the package. Because what happens is, after it zeros, it'll do a single test when you're in the discrete testing mode. And you can see it's doing one right now. When it finishes the test, the pump will turn off, and you've completed a test. So when you have the needle in a package, you will get the benefit of having the analyzer return to its low oxygen state or typical testing state right after a zero. And that helps you to get more accurate results as you go from one package to another. So thanks for listening. Take a look at some of our other videos for other tips and information on how to use our MAP gas analyzers. Thank you.